Hello teachers, welcome back to my channel, the best place for language teachers that are looking for tips, ideas and recommendations for their lessons. If you've been here before, you probably know that I'm always talking about speaking activities because I do feel that most of my students, they are good at reading, listening, some of them are great at grammar, but most of them struggle when it comes to expressing themselves orally. I'm also a big advocate for critical thinking, and I believe that the more engaging your activities are, the more your students will be able to speak, which also means they're going to love you more and they're going to ask you for more lessons and you're going to retain more students. So grab a pen and come with me because today I'm going to give you 5 ideas for speaking activities that will work for both your online lessons and your face-to-face lessons. So the first activity, I call it the emoji description. Basically, you're going to show your students emojis and you're going to ask them to describe what the emojis are feeling. This is super adaptable. If you've got a beginner student, for example, you can just show them an emoji that is smiling, so they can say the emoji is happy, it is smiling, or they are sad, or you can see they are crying, very basic vocabulary. But you can also show them, let's say, more advanced emojis, such as emojis blushing or covering their mouth or doing other different things, because you know that nowadays we do have loads of different types of emojis. The nicest part is you can ask them to describe what they feel when they receive a message with that specific emoji. So when someone sends you this image, what do you feel? So if your mother sends you a message with this emoji, what is she saying? What does she really want to say? And then even if you have more time, or if you are doing this as a warm-up, you can even line up some emojis and ask students to create a story just using all of them in order. So activity number 2, I call it in another life. So basically you're going to ask your students to imagine what their life would be like if they had been born in another country. So if you've got students from Colombia, for example, you can basically ask them to imagine how a day in Mongolia would be. So Mongolia is one of the coldest countries, it's not very cold in Colombia, so they would have to think and adapt the reality to a teenager maybe in Mongolia. So, well, when I wake up, I do have to look for my jacket, I do have to look for my winter hat. So they will have to describe what the day would be like if they were in that place. That is very good, especially for beginners, because they have to talk about routines. Which leads me to activity number 3, which is also very good for routines. So I call it the backyards day plan. So you're going to ask your students to tell you about their routine, but not in the right order. So you're going to ask them to describe their routine backwards. So instead of saying, well, I woke up, I had a breakfast and I went to school, they will have to say, okay, I was sleeping, then I brushed my teeth. So you see, even for us, we do have to think to kind of understand how to describe these activities from another perspective. So they are going to start with the moment they went to bed, like bedtime, and they are going to go backwards until they get to the point that they woke up. So you can do this in present tense and you can do this in past tense as well. And this is very challenging for the brain as well as for their language skills. So very nice one. Activity number 4, I love it, especially for kids. So I call it the aliens arrival. So basically what you're going to do is to tell your students aliens are coming to Earth for the first time. And they are going to imagine they are one of these aliens. And they have to describe what they see from an alien's point of view. So what would be strange, for an alien to say we do here on Earth? So maybe the type of clothes that we wear, or maybe the type of relations that we have with people. So what would be weird from an alien's perspective when analyzing what we do here on Earth? Yeah, so kids love it because they can see this fun element of talking about aliens and talking about something strange that it's not really part of their lives. You can use it for teenagers and adults as well, but maybe you can just adapt the type of questions and you can say, well, let's look into the society values, from the point of view of an alien. So you just kind of adapt to the type of student that you are teaching at the moment. So the last one is actually called the last game. So you are going to ask your students to imagine today is kind of the last day of summer, for example, or you are going to give scenarios where something is the last, of something. So let's say, for example, I'm going to say that this guy that I'm seeing right there, he's the last person on Earth. So what happened? Why is this person the last one surviving here? Why is this guy alone? And what happened to the rest of the humanity? So you just have to create a scenario where you are talking about the last, or maybe this is the last slice of pizza. What happened here? And your student will have to come up with creative and fun stories around this scenario. And well, that was it for today.